Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambeau channel. It's exciting to see that so many talented chart analysts are questioning if this is finally the time when XRP starts ripping to the upside for its second pump in this market cycle. And historically, there are two major pumps. There was last cycle and the cycle before that, each separated by about 6 months of sideways price action, which is more or less what we've been through to this point. And for lots of good reasons, again, lots of chart guys are looking at what's happening right now and thinking, this actually looks like it's starting to flip to a point where it's about to go. And I got perspective and analysis from just a ton of XRP chart analysts in this latest Moon Lambeau hot jam. So the question is, as it pertains to XRP, is it finally time? But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. And to kick things off, here's a post from chart analyst Wrecked Capital. Shared this with his 550,000 followers on X. And he says, if Bitcoin really does have 2 to 3 months left in its bull market, then this current period truly is the calm before the storm. Okay. I will not be surprised if that ends up being the case where we look back and be like, yeah, that was the calm before the storm, because there's too many things coming together as the whole asset class, frankly, including XRP, has just been more or less ranging sideways. There hasn't been a lot of crazy price action in crypto in recent months. Certainly not for XRP. In fact, the range has been narrowing for XRP, right? But this is the type of thing that happens right before major bursts. It seems dead, it's boring, people get really impatient, but then out of nowhere, everything happens all at once. That's just what it seems like. And there are tons of analysts that believe that we actually are going to be seeing fireworks this summer. So the idea that you could see something kick off sooner than later, definitely not crazy. And there are some very well-respected analysts that think that there's a chance that this does drag into 2026. I'm not picking a dog in this fight. I'm just sharing with you what lots of analysts are thinking. The one guy that in particular comes to mind is Raoul Pal. He's the founder and CEO of Global Macro Investor and Real Vision, former Goldman Sachs guy. He does hold XRP, by the way. And he thinks it's possible, based on what he's seen in the charts, and I've shared this on my channel before, that this cycle actually does drag into 2026 because the cycle's taking longer now. And there are some analysts that have been making arguments, but we're going to find out sooner than later. Because if this thing really does go, like say history kind of rhymes with itself, well, that does mean that we should have something kick off this summer, actually. And if that is the case, I mean, you're going to find out the answer to that in all likelihood much sooner than later. Here's a post from chart analyst Mikey Bull Crypto, Ethereum USD here. He says, Ethereum coiling up to break this range. Bear trap has already happened. Upside is more favored right now. And so here's another analyst looking at a very important crypto in the space, because Ethereum kicks off alt seasons, and he thinks this thing's probably about to go also. And I'm seeing lots of analysts say that about Ethereum as well. Here's a post from chart analyst Credible Crypto. This is from July 5th, and I already shared this, but somebody reposted this with additional thought. So I'm just going to read this again real quick. But I love this post. XRP USD chart on your screen here. And he said, aside from being one of the only coins in this entire market with the clearest/cleanest impulsive price action, aside from Bitcoin, starting at its launch off of 50 cents, XRP is currently going on its 8th month of consolidation above the prior all-time high monthly close. You are not bullish enough. And I clapped because he has clappy emojis. And I want this to be more immersive than the usual Moon Lambeau hot jam. So I incorporated those claps just for your hearing pleasure right now. And I appreciate the excitement because he doesn't freaking normally talk like this. He does not say stuff like that. He really does believe this thing's going to go crazy, and that the typical person doesn't get it, not nearly bullish enough, even those who are bullish, not bullish enough, and it is going to go crazy. And he insists that XRP is going to hit double digits this cycle. He thinks frankly, XRP is going to peak between $20 to $30. And he's not the only one that thinks that. But that was reposted by chart analyst Nick, Crypto Crusader, another one of the guys who accurately called XRP breaking out this market cycle. So he reposted that, and he wrote the following. 8 monthly candles. Think about that for a quick second. While everyone is getting impatient and bearish on XRP, it's trading at $2 plus and above the 2017/2018 all-time high monthly closes for 8 months in a row. Now, folks, that's something that I pointed out from time to time as the months have passed this year. I find it amazing. This has never happened before in the history of XRP. It is chilling. XRP straight chilling above $2, not even breaking a sweat above $2. There were people that said it would never even, for a flash in the pan moment, get above $2. And here we are above it and just chilling in consolidation mode. Amidst a bull run that's coming towards the later stages when XRP historically does its biggest pump. In consolidation, this is bullish. The longer something consolidates, the greater the force with which it bursts when it finally goes. So then he says, when this consolidation comes to a close and the expansion to the upside continues, everyone will be completely silenced. Bitcoin dominance is still over 60% plus, and the largest wave of the cycle has yet to officially hit. The last wave of the cycle is where altcoins are actively hitting 5x, 10x, 15x plus gains with ease. No matter how prepared you think you aren't prepared enough. And you know what? That's a fair enough sentiment, because it is going to be more crazy than most people are ready for. That I do believe, especially for all the new people not here right now who are going to jump in because they hear about a thing from somebody and they're going to get all jazzed up about it, and they're going to come in at the craziest time of the cycle. Which, by the way, I'll have some sympathy for, because that happened to me in 2017. I jumped in November 2017, right before the biggest alt season in history. So it was a crazy time to jump in. So I'll have some sympathy here, but yeah, you're not going to be ready. You're not going to be ready for jumping in at that time. Even the people that have prepared for a long time, not necessarily going to be ready here. But he's right here. Bitcoin dominance still over 60%, ain't going to stay there. It's going to start breaking down, and XRP dominance, frankly, is going to be increasing. That's what you should expect. Here's a post from chart analyst Zoom. He says, and he posted this on Monday, he says, 4 weeks ago, I said XRP will start its final run-up in 2 to 4 weeks. Believe it or not, here we are. It may not seem like it yet, but the breakout has begun. Okay, I appreciate the confidence. I hope he's right. I hope this is the beginning of the breakout, and we just don't know for sure yet. And by the way, I will also note, I mentioned this in a recent video, Credible Crypto said something similar, and he was talking about Bitcoin. He's like, it's not. He said something like, it's now illegal to short Bitcoin, with the reason being there's a chance, not that he thinks it's like the most probable thing of possibilities, but he actually acknowledges there's a chance that Bitcoin has already begun its like the beginning phase of its parabolic ascent, where it finally hits its peak for the cycle. So if that ends up being the case, well, then something like this certainly isn't crazy. This is certainly within the realm of possibility. We'll see how it plays out here. But to state something like this, obviously, chart analyst Zoom has a rather high level of conviction, or else you don't write something like this. And this is a one-day chart breaking out of the symmetrical triangle. As I've been saying for some time, and all these analysts draw the symmetrical triangle slightly different, but it's the same concept. As I've been stating for a long time, though, XRP cannot and will not trade sideways within this range forever. It can't. And it's going to break out before it hits the apex of this thing. So if this is the moment, fantastic. Things have lined up in such a way that it is not crazy to think that that possibility could indeed be the case. Here's some more reason why. Here's a post from chart analyst Malius. XRP dominance. Is it finally time? That's his question. This is a market cap XRP dominance percentage chart. And you can see what he's highlighting here. You can see the dominance percentage at the time he posted this, 4.13% for XRP. And he notes that it's breaking up against this trend line. So is that a directional change that's going to persist? Well, that's what he's wondering, obviously. You know what else he's highlighting here? The relative strength index. He's highlighting that the RSI is popping up out of this thing for the first time since like the beginning of this year, when it was in overbought territory in the beginning of the year, which shouldn't surprise you. Obviously, XRP hitting a new all-time high, $3.40. It was running up into overbought territory. but it's been trending towards oversold territory ever since then, obviously hitting it, and now breaking that trend line. So that's why he's saying, is it finally time? He's noticing, that's why he drew the trend line here, that XRP is popping out of oversold territory. So he's not the only one noticing. This is why I keep telling you, you really are living in a moment where any day you could wake up and yes, the market really is going and it's not a fake out and it's actually happening. One day that is going to be the thing. And we're not going to have to wait that much longer. We're just not. Here's a post from chart analyst Crypto Insight UK. He was talking about XRP dominance here. So this is an XRP market cap dominance percentage chart also. And he shared a model for how Wyckoff accumulation schematic plays out here. And he seems to be arguing that looks like this is pretty much what's happening. So he says XRP dominance to have its highest daily close since May 23rd. Breaking the RSI downtrend on the daily, which, by the way, I just highlighted from Malleus. Yes, it did. It broke that trend line. Crypto Insight UK also noticed that. How about that? That's a good sign, getting out of oversold territory. So he says, breaking the RSI downtrend on the daily, 3-day, and potentially a bullish cross on the weekly, still 6 days to go, mind, for the first time since our major breakout back in November, and potentially looking to head into Phase E after completing a full Wyckoff accumulation. So you can see what he's showing is that in his estimation, it looks like XRP market cap dominance percentage chart here looks like it's gotten through basically the sign of strength phase, SOS right here. And what's next? Moontown, baby. And you know what's exciting about this? So XRP dominance, again, it's a little over 4% right now. And a lot of analysts think that this thing's going to get up to like maybe close to 15%. I think it was Crypto Insight UK who the other day was sharing that he actually thinks it could get above 20%, and maybe if it gets really crazy, even closer to 30%, which I'm kind of skeptical of for reasons I've already articulated. But I will just note here, if you're talking about going from 4% to, even like say 16% for easy math. So that's quite the multiplier. I mean, you're talking about quadruple, even that, you're looking at what? You're looking at over $8 XRP easily. You'd be looking at, I guess, closer to $9 XRP at that percentage based on the current market cap for the entire asset class. Even if it just gets up to like, again, 16%, which I don't think is crazy. Like that seems absolutely plausible. But what's really interesting, because again, that would put XRP around $9. What if that is where it peaks, and it really does peak at that 16%? But what if the market cap, which is currently somewhere between, I think, 3.2 and 3.2 trillion right now, what if it doubles? If the market cap for the entire asset class doubles, and then XRP peaks at 16% market dominance, that's more like $18 XRP. So you can see how it's easy to look at those types of figures and be like, wow, that's actually not crazy. I don't know if it's going to happen, and I don't make price predictions, but all of this is safely within the confines of reality in my estimation. That's my humble opinion here. Here's a post from the great Matt B, chart analyst. XRP just closed a weekly candle above the 20-week moving average for the first time in a long time. This could be the start of its next move higher. So there you go. Another point you can look and be like, closed above it, did it? 20-week MA? Well, look at the other stuff I'm sharing. Do you see why? And this is why the question at the outset of the video, is it finally time? Well, you see why it's being asked, right? Because there's a lot of stuff lining up to a point where it's like, maybe it is. Maybe it is time. Here's a post from chart analyst Cryptos. XRP weekly closed outside of resistance, now battling the 21 MA. And so you can see he's highlighting something that many other analysts have been talking about. It's breaking outside of this bad boy. And this is on the 1 week. And he's not the only one that said that. Look, here's chart analyst Dark Defender. We are steps ahead. XRP had the clear breakout. Road to all-time high. And then he notes here, weekly resistance is broken. Tons of analysts have been talking about this. Tons of them. So yeah, totally fair to ask. Is it finally time? Well, maybe it is. We'll see. Here's a post from chart analyst Crypto. Shared this with his 1.7 million followers. And this guy hates XRP irrationally, but he does. He hates it. He does seem to be honest in what he thinks is going to happen with XRP regardless, and he buys it. So there you go. And so as XRP was really starting to go completely crazy in November, he shared this post, November 15th, 2024. He says XRP, and it was at 80 cents, so it had already started moving. mind you, it was at 49 cents before the election, so it started moving. That's what got people paying attention, but it hadn't done anything crazy, and there were some people that hated XRP that were predicting it was just going to go right back down to like 40 something cents because they live in denial. But anyway, so it was up to 80 cents at this point, November 15th last year, and he did say, I'll give credit where it's due, XRP is coiling up and a big move is imminent within 6 hours. And I don't know if it went to what degree within 6 hours from that post, but even for an XRP hater to say is about to go, fine, credit where it's due. And he thinks it's about to happen again, though. So look at what he posted yesterday, Monday. XRP is giving me flashbacks to November when I made this call. Now, folks, I've been sharing that sentiment from lots of analysts who don't hate XRP. Some of them are just neutral in XRP, actually. A lot of them really do like it, but some of them are just neutral because they're just chart guys, and they're just being honest. They're like, well, here's my perspective about XRP. It looks great. So lots of analysts that are either neutral or like XRP have been sharing like the same point, which is it's starting to look a lot like November. And here, this guy's saying the same thing. Just take it for what it's worth. Here's a post from chart analyst Ali Martinez. XRP looks to be forming an inverse head and shoulders pattern, setting the stage for a potential breakout towards $2.60. Well, I haven't heard anyone else cite that particular formation, but, you know, it's another analyst who is very optimistic for XRP. Like to share as many thoughts as I reasonably can on my channel when it comes to analysis about XRP and what's happening in the charts from various analysts. The takeaway, he still thinks in the short term you could be seeing something like that. So again, back to the initial question here. Is it finally time? Maybe. Here's a post from chart analyst XR Punky. He's having a little fun here, doing a little jokes. He's being a silly goose. He's being a silly goose here. Says XRP is going down. See you at lower levels. And this is an inverted chart. And some people didn't catch that, and they got really upset with him. I don't know why analysts do this. Like, they're like, I mean, I know the real answer. They wake up, they're like, I'm going to be a silly goose today. I'm going to post the chart, but I'm going to invert it so that the high numbers are on the bottom where they don't belong. Like, that's what's happening right now. I think I don't know why analysts, but they have fun with it, and it always makes some people flip out. And I guess that's kind of amusing. But no, he's pointing to where this is actually going, which is XRP getting closer to like $14 right here. That's what he's actually highlighting. So take it for what it's worth. Again, nothing but reasons to be optimistic so far as I'm concerned. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.